God,
good morning,
hope it all
everyone.
goes okay.
Welcome to our welcome to our second NOWIC breakfast. Thank you very much for joining us. We've seen we've got quite a few of you in the room and a few of you still joining. This week we're going to be looking at social media and building your personal brand, and we're delighted to be joined by Tanisha Ruffordin, the Creative Director of Concept Culture, which is a creative agency that helps built environment organisations strategically grow their brand and business. A trained architect, Tanisha has over a decade of combined experience in architectural practice as a contributor to the Architecture Journal and a communications consultant. She founded Concept Culture out of a desire to combine her passion for architecture and her expertise of creating engaging brands and visual content. She's going to be talking to us about our personal brand, and particularly online at the moment, because a lot of what we're doing is just online. I'm going to hand over to Tanisha now. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. This is like, I don't know. Oh yeah, okay, I see the presentation now. Hi, everyone, good morning. Thanks for dialing in today. And thank you, NOWIC and Christina and Annie for inviting me today to talk about personal branding and social media, two subjects that are very close to my heart and subjects that I love to talk about. So it's probably a good thing that the scope of this webinar is only 1 hour. So, but at the same time, this is very much a high-level conversation, and we're only going to be scratching the surface because social media is a wide subject, and personal branding is also a wide subject. But hopefully, you'll get a taste of how to build your personal brand using the digital tools that are available to us today. So Annie has kindly already introduced me, so I can skip over this bit. However, Christina did ask me to share a bit of my own personal career story for some context. And that's because I started my career in the last recession. So very much graduating into a position of adversity. I was a young architect. There was no work available. And I found myself very disappointed and very dejected at the fact that I was very enthusiastic and ready to work, and there was no work available for me to do. And it's probably a similar situation that a lot of young architects, young graduates in the built environment and the sector are finding themselves, or maybe you're in mid-career and now you're finding yourself again in this position of economic adversity. So my message to you is don't lose hope. Keep going, and we're all in this together. And for me, especially now, it helped me. Christina helped me. Christina was like an unofficial mentor to me. And, these networks really help you find your voice, find your personal footing, and it'll help you pivot if you need to, and find, pivot your career in another direction. Because, as Annie introduced me, I trained as an architect, but now I run my own little communications agency. And that was very much as in response to creating a resilient career and a career that will last and outweigh any economic downturns. So with that in mind, I'll just a little bit about Concept Culture and who we are. So this is a collective model. We're a pool of collectives. We're a small group, and the group expands and contracts based on the projects that we were working on and the clients that we work for. And this is the spectrum of services that we offer to anyone who's in the built environment sector, and particularly if you have a strong sustainability agenda, because again, that's very much important for us to support built environment organizations and professionals who are doing good work in the sustainability sector, and we want to amplify their voice and showcase the good work that they're doing in the industry. So with that, that's a little bit about me, and I'd like to get a sense for everyone else about who's in the room today. So I think we have a few polls that Christina will help us go through. So very quickly, just let us know which sector you are representing today. Quite a few from probably. And then, yeah, let's go to the second question. So we'd like to find out which social media platforms you use professionally. So from a professional standpoint, so not to share content with friends and family, but what platforms are you on? LinkedIn. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely LinkedIn is the preferred platform for professional networks, and a fair amount of you are on Instagram as well. Instagram is a lot of fun. Great. So how much time do you spend on social media? Again, from a professional standpoint of view, like if you just a broad idea of how much time you're spending using social media to connect with your network or connect with your professional colleagues. Less than an hour. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So you might I hope maybe your answer will change at the end of the webinar. So since lockdown, do you find yourself spending more or less time on social media professionally? Okay. More. Okay, that's quite logical, because a lot of the other activities that you will otherwise be spending on time are not available to you. So that makes sense. Okay, that's great. Okay, so before we get into the more technical aspects of the presentation, I have a little quiz for you, and it's architecture centric. That's because I'm an architect, but hopefully it's interesting enough for the rest of you as well. So, who do you think is the most followed architect on Facebook? And put your answers in the chat. Bjarke Ingels, Zaha Hadid. Any others? It's all very good answers. Hadid.
They are coming.
Christina, Norman Foster, Chipperfield. Yep. All very good answers. So let's have a look. The answer is Zaha Hadid Architects, and Zaha Hadid Architects have around 200,000 followers. So that's quite a significant number. 200,000 architects, 200,000 followers. All right, next question. So similar vein, who do you think is the most followed architect on LinkedIn? Zaha again? Foster? Norman Foster? Norman Foster, cool. Interesting. Okay. So let's have a look at what the answer is. It is again Zaha Hadid Architects, and this time there's 300. They have around 350,000 followers. So I'd like you to pay attention to these numbers. So Facebook was 200,000. Now LinkedIn is 350,000. Who do you think is the most followed architect on Twitter? Zaha again. And are we beginning to see a pattern here? This might be like the most, the easiest quiz that that you've been a part of. Okay, Zaha doesn't seem to have any challengers. It is indeed Zaha Hadid Architects, and now the number is beginning to rise. It's 500,000 followers. Zaha Hadid Architects have 500,000 followers on Twitter, and that's a fairly significant number for any brand in the built environment. Okay, and the final question in this series is, who do you think is the most followed architect on Instagram? Who is the most followed architect on Instagram? Zaha again, top vote, Zaha Hadid again. Seems to be the popular answer. Someone says Foster. Yes, it could be Foster. No one's mentioning Bjarke Ingels or the other guys anymore. All right, so it's the competition between Zaha and Foster. Okay, let's have a look. It is indeed Zaha Hadid Architects, and pay attention to this number. It's 1.1 million followers. That is celebrity level engagement. So again, I don't think any other brand comes close. Any currently operating brand in the built environments comes close to this level of engagement, 1.1 million followers. So I hope this painted a little picture to you in terms of the reach of these platforms. So we started at Facebook and we ended at Instagram, and those are the kind of most popular platforms, social media platforms that you are likely to engage with as a built environment professional. But what does that really translate into? So what is the value of having so many followers on social media? You might ask, like, why should a person or a brand or a business invest their time in building this kind of mass following on social media? And let's turn our attention to Google. So this is a fun exercise. It's mostly like a personal exercise. So I Googled the most popular architect. So I asked Google, who is the most popular architect? And Google tells me that the most popular architect is Zaha Hadid. Again, and again, this is the one female face out of how many ever male faces. So this, and Google doesn't lie. Everyone trusts Google. If you want to solve a problem, you're most likely to go on Google to ask Google what their answer is. So Google thinks that Zaha Hadid is the most popular architect. Now, then you might question, so what's the big deal about being popular? Popular doesn't necessarily mean good. So then I asked, who's the best architect in the world? So again, this is a perception. It's again asking Google, who do you think is the best architect in the world? And the answer is, again, Zaha Hadid architect. So Google thinks that Zaha Hadid is also the best architect in the world. And why does Google think this? It's because there's so much information out there, so much content out there that is positioning Zaha Hadid architects as a highly respected and well-known architect. So if you are a client who has no idea about architecture, so if you're particularly wealthy and you want to commission a monumental structure, you've got some spare cash to burn, and you're wondering, who I want to get the best. I can afford it. I want to get the best architect. I will go on Google and look and see what Google tells me. And Google will give you a range of answers, and Zaha Hadid is up there. So if I'm this rich client, I'm quite likely to pick up the phone and call Zaha Hadid architects, or get in touch with them to find out how they can help me, because I had a problem. I went to Google to solve it, and Google gave me a series of answers. So I hope that this now helps you establish the relationship. And it's also because Google trusts what social media tells it, because these platforms are huge. They have huge followings. Facebook alone has 2.2 billion followings, and these numbers are no joke. So all the information that social media is putting out there on the internet is picked up by Google, and that immediately affects how people rank on Google if you're a personal brand or a company brand. So because the subject of this talk is about growing your personal brand, I thought that it would be interesting, and it'll be a good idea to look at the definition of personal brand. So our friends at personalbrand.com have a really good definition, and I'd like to share it with you today. So a personal brand is a widely recognized and largely uniform perception or impression of an individual based on their experience, expertise, competencies, actions, and/or achievements within a community, industry, or the marketplace at large. So pay attention to the word. So this is personal brand, and so it is in a nutshell, it's basically your reputation. It's what people know about you. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. So it's not something you can control in a way, because it's your image. It's a brand. It's the brand. It's what people know about you. But what you can do is influence what they know about you. So let's look at this next definition. Personal branding. So now it's an act. So let's see what the definition of personal branding is. So it's the conscious and intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in their industry, elevating their credibility, and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance their career, increase their circle of influence, and have a larger impact. So this is how you can influence what people think about you. And as the subject of this talk is we're going to discuss how social media can help you influence what people think about you. So going back to the example of Zaha Hadid spent years crafting her personal brand. She spent years building it, so much so that even after she has gone, her legacy is still alive, and her personal brand, which is attached to the practice, and that's her name, Zaha Hadid Architects, is a well-known, respected, and identifiable brand. And it's probably going to be known 100 years later. Just imagine 100 years from now, there's another group of humans using any other tool, and they're looking up who the top architects were in the 21st century, 20th century, and she's going to come up there. She's quite likely to rank highly, even in that space. So it takes years to build. It doesn't happen overnight, and you have to put in the time and the effort and the energy to build it. And social media can help you. I think that's what we're here to discuss today. And how does it help you? Because it's a self-publishing tool. I'm not going to get into the technical definition of social media. I'm going to assume that people know what that is. So it's a self-publishing tool. So you control what goes out there under your name or your company's name, and through the content that you produce, through your interactions with others on social media, and what that, because you're doing it as yourself, and you have full control over that, it can help you build trust with the people that you want to engage with in your professional network, be it other colleagues, clients, prospective employers. It helps you stay connected with your network because your name should keep flashing up on people's feeds. And it can help you grow influence, because if you're active on these platforms and you begin to share your expertise, drop in powerful insights on subjects that are trending at the time. That's how you're growing your influence, because people are reading what you're saying. That's you directly speaking to them, and this all contributes to raising your digital profile. So your digital profile is connected to what Google knows about you, and so all that adds up to and feeds the information to Google, and it'll help you rank higher in Google searches for what you want to be known for. And it's definitely high up there in building your personal brand. Again, it's you controlling, so people will trust you. It's you speaking directly to your audience. So it's a very powerful tool to build your personal brand. And ultimately, it should help you attract the opportunities that you're looking for. Because if you put a strong brand out there, you have a strong mission statement, you have a strong vision, you have strong values. People who have similar brand values to you will want to align with you, and they will reach out to you, and vice versa. And you can reach out to people. So it's all about brand alignment and aligning with other people in your professional network who have and follow the same brand. So let's take, for example, sustainability. You want to network and collaborate with other people in that sustainability sector. You will find them on social media, and you can connect with them in social media because you have a common subject of interest. So what differentiates social media as a tool to grow your personal brand, as opposed to growing your personal brand in more physical scenario at events or conferences, are the algorithms that are behind these platforms. So because it's a digital tool, these algorithms feed information, and that they control the information that you see in your feed, and it controls the information similarly to it controls the information that other people see about you. So and the key thing about these algorithms is you have to feed the algorithms. They're hungry for engagement. They want you to connect with the platforms. So engagement in very, very simple terms is interacting with the platform. So in technical terms, it's liking, commenting, sharing, connecting with more people. So the more people you connect with, the more people you follow, the more the algorithms are going to reward you. Because remember, at the end of the day, these platforms want more people to sign up to them. They want more people to spend time on them. So at the beginning, most of you spend less than an hour a day on social media, you might find that you have to up that quantum of time that you're spending daily on social media before you begin to see results and a return on the investment of the time that you're spending, because those platforms want you to stay on those platforms, and they want you to bring more people onto those platforms. So engagement is the name of the game when it comes to beating the algorithms and working with the algorithms. All right, so we'll take a pause here and we'll do a little exercise. So we'll do an exercise on Google Rank. So I'd like you to whip up your mobile phones and Google yourselves and drop down in the chat what is the first link that you find once you Google yourself. And I'll invite Annie from NAWIC as a volunteer to share her screen, and let's see what Google knows about Annie.
Hopefully you can all see this. Can you see it, Tanisha?
I do see it. I see your screen now.
Perfect. Right, let's see what happens. So we've got my LinkedIn, my Instagram.
You've got LinkedIn, Instagram, few pictures
Twitter.
of you. So that's all you. So and your Twitter. Great. So that's all so that's definitely you. It's not another.
Yeah, the first three are me.
The first three are you.
Not me. Okay. Facebook's not me. London Build Expo, that is me.
Okay.
Lime Slate, that is me. So yeah.
And so how much time do you spend on LinkedIn, Annie?
Probably at least an hour a day.
An hour a day. So that's the most active platform that you're on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes sense. So that's where you are spending most of your time. You're active on LinkedIn. So Google picks that up, and that's the first result that shows up on your Google rank. Mm-hmm. So hopefully now you're beginning to see how Google picks up information about you, and what you have to control in terms of defining your personal brand is what do you want to be known for, and begin to feed information on that subject matter. So if you're in property and you're selling private residential, start feeding more information on that subject to Google, and then you'll begin to rank highly under that particular sphere. I mean, it is a very crowded space. It's not easy to rank highly on Google. So this is where it gets tricky. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of noise out there. So through social media is the best way to define yourself and get your name out there and cut through the noise, so that when someone who's found you from anywhere else on the internet or through a recommendation, and they go online and they Google your name, you want the most credible source, most credible link to come up there. So if that is your LinkedIn profile, make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date and it's the best representation and it showcases the best information of you. So, after this webinar or whatever it is, whenever you get time, whatever's that top link in your Google search, work on it. Make sure that the best representation, because those are the links you can control. So again, remember, there are things that you can control and things that you can't control. So external links, external websites where your name exists, Google will pull all that information. So that may not be in your control, but what's very much in control are your social media accounts. So definitely work on them and make sure that you're active on them. Okay, so hopefully that was a little fun. Yes,
Tanisha, it's Christina. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Somebody highlighted in the question section what happens if you Google yourself and you find another person. Do you have any tips?
So, well, that can happen a lot depending on your name. So I'm looking at the Q&A. So the person's name is So Sum Lee. So is it the case that it's because the name is so close, what you might have to do is you probably have to be more active on social media, so that to make sure that you see your name, because even in that case, when she Googled her name, there were results of someone else's website, and that can happen if your names are very closely aligned. And unless you want to change your name and rebrand, in a certain way, like depending on what you are, you can establish a new profile, because I think Annie had on her Twitter, she has her profile is linked to her consultancy, so she added her name and her consultancy, so that makes her more unique. So that again positions her in a more unique place, so that no one is mistaking that is the Annie Cliff who works for Limeslade. So think about it from that point of view as well. So, and that's how you can differentiate yourself on Google. I hope that answers that question.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so far we're at the halfway mark now. So far we've established definitions of personal brand, what personal branding is, and how you can use social media to influence how people think about you online. And I see there's a comment about says reputation developed by the work you do. It's not all about hype, which is very true. Judy, the scope of this presentation is building that reputation online in the digital sphere, especially in a lockdown scenario where we're not connecting with people physically anymore. And depending on how long lockdown continues, digital media and digital profiles are going to be the way where you can share your experience and share your expertise. For those starting out fresh, it's the best tool for them to use to get their work out there and to create more hype and buzz around their work. So this is in no way just building hype on social media. Is to support your reputations and support the work that you do. It's not an either or scenario. It's not the case that you are not good at your work and then you just build hype on social media and people will come to you. Both work together. So if you're good at what you do, that will shine on social media as well. Okay, so now I want to share this little 5-point plan that I've derived over my as a result of my years of experience working for organizations building their social media platforms and generally spending time on social media for the past 10 years, seeing how it has changed over the years and how the technology has changed. So but the point of deriving it into 5 points is just to keep it simple and actionable. So hopefully as you leave this webinar, you'll be able to immediately apply these steps to your social media platforms. So in my book, step number 1 is to think goals and think strategy. Like any other project, at the get-go, you want to identify what are the goals that you want to achieve at the end of the project, and you want to map out a roadmap to get there, and that's your strategy. So social media is no different. It's very much you approach social media from a professional standpoint in the same way. And so to do that, you can use these prompts to define that strategy that will help you achieve whatever goals that you want to set out yourself. If it's a case of you want to reach your first 1,000 followers on Twitter, or you want to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram, or 10,000 followers on Instagram, whatever that goal is, use these prompts to help you achieve that. So I think the most important one in this list is, why are you on social media? What is the purpose of being on social media? Do you want to reach clients? Do you want to just position yourself as a thought leader? Do you want to attract the attention of prospective employers? There's so many things so many options that you might want to pursue, but really define at least one strong purpose as to why you're on on social media from a professional standpoint. Again, this is very much talking about growing your personal brand from a professional standpoint. And then once you've identified that, you have to work out who do you want to reach. And once you've worked out who that is, how you reach them. And then once you've reached them, what can you offer them? So, let's say, for example, you are an engineer and you specialize in sustainable design, and you want to collaborate with other architects who also work in sustainable design. So then, we've seen by the example before that architects love to be on Instagram. So then you'll go on Instagram, you'll look for architects who specialize in sustainable design on Instagram, you'll follow their work, engage with their content, and then maybe send them a message. Maybe by that point you've built that relationship and they follow you back, and you can send them a message, you can start a conversation, pick up the phone, get a call, and maybe see how you can collaborate together. So that's just one example, but that's how you can engage with people on social media. So if there's one thing that I would love for you to take away from today, and this is a little mantra I tell myself as well every time I'm on social media, is the next time you're scrolling, you scroll with intention. So think about your goals on social media. Think about the strategy that they're using to reach the goals, and scroll with intention through your feed and engage and interact with the relevant posts that are part of your strategy and to meet your goals. And every time and whenever you post with purpose. So whatever that purpose is, if it's to sell a property, if it's to showcase your property staging skills, or whatever it may be, post with purpose, post with an agenda in mind. And if you want to go a step further, you can map out your content and plan your content depending on how much time and resource you have available to you. Maybe if it's just you, or you have a team that you can outsource that work to. So think about that when you're scrolling your social media next time. So scroll with intention and post with purpose. And again, going back to from a professional standpoint of view, because how many times have you probably gone on Twitter and then hours later you resurface and you don't know where the time has gone. So from a personal branding, professional personal branding point of view, scroll with intention and post with purpose. Okay. So the next one. So the next step in this plan is to choose the platform that's best for you. And this is very important because, again, social media is about time and energy, and there's only so many hours in the day. There's much more to be done, especially if you work full time, or you're running your own business. Somebody the other day, they said to me, "Oh, so if I have to post on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, write content for all of them, come up with fresh ideas, and do my day job, when am I going to do all of that?" Yes, it is a lot of time. It is a lot of effort. It is a lot of energy. So be mindful of how you spend your time and how you invest your time. So I've just picked up this meme. It's from the Dolly Parton challenge. Some of you may have taken part in it. So ignore Tinder. That was part of the meme. But what this meme demonstrated and why it was so popular is because it's that the same person uses different images and different messages on different platforms. And the reason they do that is because these different platforms operate differently. They connect with different people and they have different purposes. So you adjust your personal image and your personal brand based on your audience in that particular platform. So in a nutshell, I think Twitter is about ideas, so sharing ideas. If you love writing, if you enjoy writing, then go on Twitter and share your ideas. If you're more of a social person, create a Facebook group, connect with your audience there. If you're on the shy side and you don't want to approach the platforms like Twitter and Instagram, which have much wider reaches, go to LinkedIn, because it's a safer space. It's only your network, and just connect with people who in a professional standpoint. And if you love taking images, if you love drawing sketches, if you love taking videos, go on Instagram. Instagram is about selling a lifestyle, and particularly for those of you, because a lot of you are in the property space, it's property is about selling a lifestyle, as you know. So Instagram is definitely your winning platform from that point of view, because you can really sell your lifestyle. It's about Instagram's about sharing your best life and living your best life. So Instagram will be the way to go for you. Okay, I hope you're still with me so far. And number 3, so it's about positioning your bio or your profile. So again, the digital space moves very, very quickly. So, think about your CV. When was the last time you updated your CV? Maybe you don't look at it, you look at it every couple of months, whereas with social media, bios and profiles are more dynamic. You need to keep on top of them. You have 3 to 5 seconds, let's say, to attract someone's attention. And so make sure that you get it right, and your bio, again, represents you in the best possible light. So you can use these 4 prompts to position your bio. So you have to convey who you are, what you offer, why you do it. Again, why is the big thing. If you work with any marketing agency or creative agency, they'll most likely ask you why you do what you do. So communicating your why is very important, even on social media. And then simply how they can get in touch with you. So I like the example alongside. So the person's profile says, I design and develop experiences that make people's lives simple. So that's piqued my interest. I would like to learn more about, my living a simpler life. And the button says, see my work. And, I click because he's piqued my interest. So I'd like to learn a little bit more. So that's the other thing, provide enough to pique the person's curiosity that they want to learn more. And with Instagram and Twitter, you have limited characters anyway. So you have to make the most of the limited characters available for you. So you probably be more focused. But with LinkedIn, there you have more characters available. Position your profile in a way that it offers the best representation of who you are. Okay, and point number 4 in this plan is to build your community. So social media, again, it's about building community. It's about connecting with people. We're humans at the end of the day. We want to stay connected with people. And if one thing we found that so much so in this lockdown, when we're not allowed to connect with people, we're not allowed to see people, and the only way we can interact with people is through the digital platforms that are available to us. So how do you build community on? So again, think about the sphere that you want to influence. Think about your specialism, where you are, and connect with the relevant people within that sphere. So LinkedIn allows you to find people by skill sets or people by areas. So you can search in using Google search and connect with people and send them a personalized message and as to why you want to connect with them. And I think these days people are more receptive to connecting, even with people who they've never met before. So just go for it. Connect with as many people as you can. And once you've connected with people and their information starts appearing on your feed, start listening. Start listening to what your audience is saying, and understand what their pain points are, particularly if that audience involves your clients. So listen to what their pain points are, listen to what they're struggling with, and then begin to engage. Again, engagement in technical terms of social media is liking, commenting, and liking, commenting, and sharing, and every click amplifies the life of that post and the reach of that post. So again, going back to the algorithms, every time you click on social media, it's feeding the algorithm. It's sending information to the internet. It's feeding information into Google. So think about what you're liking, what you're sharing, what you're commenting, because It all adds up, and to feed that bigger picture of your digital profile and what Google knows about you and what other people will eventually know about you when they Google you. And interact. Again, interact. Have fun with it. A lot of people go on social media for a light relief, especially in these dark times. So have fun with it and build relationships. At the end of the day, again, going back to the fact that we're humans, and especially in the construction sector, it's all about building teams, building those relationships. We can't build cities, we can't build towns, we can't build even small homes on our own. We are very much a team industry. So it's building those relationships, building those connections. So when the good times come back again, when people are operating at full steam, and again, they will remember you and they will invite you to collaborate on a project or contact you to share your expertise or insight on that particular subject. If you've done the work and you've put in the time and you start putting yourself out there, you will begin to see a return on that time and energy over a period of time. So we're almost there. We're at the last point of this simple plan, and the final point is add value. So going back to why people are on social media, think about yourself. Like, why do you go on social media? You go on social media to learn about what's going on in the world today. You go on social media to keep up to date with what's happening in your industry. You go on social media maybe to entertain yourself, maybe to to escape from all the darkness that's happening around our world at the moment. The headlines are very dark these days, and some people use social media as a way of escaping the darkness and this finding their safe space. So with that context, think about how your content is adding value. So again, you can use these 3 prompts. So ask yourself before you're posting with purpose, does your content inspire? Does it educate? Or does it entertain? It could fall in any of these three categories. And if it does that, then you will definitely be adding value and you'll be on the right track. So think about your audience. You're serving your audience. Your purpose on social media is to serve your audience. So try to post your content along these three streams, and you'll begin to see engagement. You'll begin to see people reacting to your content. So this is a little recap. I think we just have 15 minutes to go, so I'll move quickly to get into the Q&A. So this is the overall plan. So think about this at the back of your mind next time you're on social media. If you're doing it yourself, or if you're outsourcing it to an agency or a virtual assistant or whatever the case may be, have this plan at the back of your mind, and it will direct your time and how you approach social media to build your personal brand. So the my final thoughts I'll leave you with, and this is not only related to building a personal brand, but just generally how you spend time on social media with your professional network. So I'd really advise you to be visible. And what that means is just be active. So log on at least once a day on your preferred channel of choice, and connect with people, stay connected with people, be relevant. So again, you're building a sphere of influence in a particular area of specialism, be it architecture, engineering, or property, or law, or whatever it is. Stay relevant, stay on topic, and be engaged. Again, we're talking about engagement. Again, it's the number one rule of being on social media, engaging with people. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, subscribe. It all helps to boost your profile on social media. And be generous. Be generous with your time. And what I mean by this is like interact with people, share other people's content as well. So it's not just about you publishing your own content, but you're boosting up and propping up other people in your network too. And hopefully that will reciprocate as well, and they will like and share your comment too. So you're engaging with each other and helping each other. And most importantly, be consistent. So like I said earlier, social media it's a long game. It takes months and years to master it, to build those high levels of thousands and hundreds and thousands of followers, and that won't happen if you don't show up every day. You have to be consistent with your social media activity, and that's where this consistency will count. And once you begin to see once you be consistently show up every day, I promise you that you will begin to see the results. And again, depending on what those results are. So if you have a very small niche, maybe you don't need the 10,000 followers. Maybe you just need a 500 followers, and you can and that's your targeted audience, and they love what you do, and they support what you do, and that gives you energy to create more content and serve your audience more. So it's not all about chasing those large following numbers. It's you create the audience size that works best for you and works best for your personal brand. And so with that, just begin. For those of you who are new to social media, I hope you enjoy using social media to build your personal brand. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot of hard work. There's a bit of grafting involved, but at the end of the day, if you enjoy it, you will be rewarded. Great. So I think we can take questions now. Okay. So the first question on screen: should you accept all invitations on LinkedIn? Right. This is a good one, because again, in a nutshell, generally, I would say yes, because then your network connects with their network. But I wouldn't do it blindly, in the sense like that it should be a relevant contact. It should be someone who's at least in a similar field to you, because otherwise it may not be relevant. But maybe if it's a student starting out, maybe they just want to connect with you, they want some advice, then definitely go for it. But sometimes if it's just a recruiter, then yeah, I'd be wary about that, because recruiters just want to connect with you to branch out their LinkedIn network as well. So approach with caution, but generally it's okay. It's okay to connect with people who you don't know on LinkedIn. How much do you make use of content planning for each social media channel? If you ask me for Concept Culture and for our clients, we plan everything in advance. Everything is planned in advance. We have a certain amount of content that is planned, and a certain amount that is reactive to the day. But that's because that's what we do. That's our modus operandi. So and that's the service that we provide. So depending again on how much time, how much resource you have. If you have a very generous budget, go for it. Go for planning content, and particularly there are tools out there that helps you map your content months in advance, even a whole year in advance. That's how the bigger agencies do it. That's how the bigger brands do it. They will map out content, per quarter and then per year, and that's how they push out content, and that's how they're able to push out content so regularly, because they have the workforce and the team behind them. And it's highly advisable to do forward planning, because because that's how you will be able to maintain a consistent feed. So it's not like every Monday morning you're scratching your head thinking, oh my God, what am I going to post for this week? I haven't thought about it, and then you've lost half a day from the actual work that you have to do. So definitely forward planning is the name of the game to stay consistent and have a consistent feed. Next one: do you use a particular social media management software, and are there any you would recommend? Yes. Oh, there are a couple. We use Buffer, because we like the Buffer's interface. There's also Hootsuite. I know a lot of people use Hootsuite as well. And I think Facebook has its own internal publishing tool as well. So again, all these tools will offer you a 14-day trial So if you're just starting out, make the most of that 14-day trial. Try a couple, and then see which ones you want to invest in. I think Buffer, I think it's about £15 a month, and it's worthwhile an investment because it's not about managing the content. What Buffer will also help you do is analyze how your content is performing at the end of the week or the month, or however you set it up to do, and then that'll help you engage and to realign your content for the next month or the next quarter, as the case may be. For definitely use those social media management softwares, 100%. They will help you. Next, for those with limited time, are there any quick wins or small things they can do to improve their presence? Yes, definitely. And again, this is down to engagement. If you are unable to post new exciting content on a regular basis, then what you can do is engage with your feed, engage with those people who are doing it, and repost their stuff with a caption. So it's probably a case of just following certain influential accounts who produce really good content in your subject area, and share their content or comment on their content, provide some insight on them. And those are quicker things to do than coming up with an original post. So let's say you have an hour a day on your LinkedIn, Monday morning, open it up, scroll through your LinkedIn, like the posts that are relevant to you, comment on them, and share them. Share anyone that's particularly exciting to you, and that then your name will begin to pop up in people's feeds. And that's what you want. That's what, at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want to stay front of mind of your audience, so that when they need you, they reach out to you. And that will happen only if you interact with the platform. So even if it's just an hour a day, like, comment, share, like, keep that in the back of your head. And as you scroll through, and that just keeps your name flashing up in people's feeds more often. Should you connect with your competitors? Ooh, interesting. Oh, this is very good. It's interesting. Okay, we're just having this discussion lately about the same thing. I would say keep an eye on what they're doing, for sure. You don't have to follow them particularly, but you can keep an eye on what they're doing, and and just make sure that that you're not doing the same thing. You want to do something different, right? You want to stand out from the competition. So just keep an eye on what they're doing. And again, if it's a competitor that you might think that you would collaborate in the future with, then definitely go for it and connect. But if it's a competitor that you're not likely to work with, don't directly follow them, but keep an eye on their feed every now and then. Okay, next one. How do you keep your personal and professional life separate? Do you become your professional brand to the digital world? I think this is a very good question, and I think it's one of the most challenging ones because for the most part, a lot of us would have used social media purely for sharing our life stories with friends and family, and now we're finding ourselves in a scenario where we have to be active on the professional front as well. So it depends on where you are in this journey. If your personal accounts are strong enough, you can build those personal accounts and just realign them to suit your professional audience. And again, it's about purpose. So what do you want to get out of it? Then if whatever that is, that's the strong. If it's your professional brand, share that more widely. And then your personal account can be, you can use Facebook for that. So that's a closed network. But on the wider platforms like Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, use those for your professional brand, and separate them. Definitely separate the two. So you don't want to dilute the message. But having said that, Instagram allows you to share a bit of both. So you have stories, and stories are real-time videos that you can share on the go, on the trot, and that gives people a little bit of insight about you as a person. So your brand is about your personality as well. So people want to know about you too. So you can showcase a bit about your your personality, and people will appreciate that you're sharing that too. I hope that answers that question. It is a tricky one. I think most, especially entrepreneurs, first starting out, struggle with that one. Do they create a new account separately that's only their professional account, and have separate account for their personal life? So that's a tricky one. That's a tricky balance to. You have to work out that what's the best balance that works for you. Okay, I hope I answered that. Okay, that was a difficult one. Next, could you share with us how you approach this from your company's point of view? When did you start building your presence, before or after you set up your company? Okay, specifically in my case, with the Concept Culture, that's the creative agency that we didn't have an online presence in the first year of. We didn't have much of an online presence the first year of our operation, and we did that very consciously because we were using that first year to build our portfolio and build our network. But personally, as creatives, we had our own brands operating on all the platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And actually, we've launched our socials only during lockdown this year, because that lockdown gave us that opportunity and the time to think about it and be strategic about how we approach social media. So for us specifically, we're now growing our audience. We're now building our social media presence. And that was a very conscious decision, because it's, again, if you're not ready as a company, maybe the best approach is to secure the handles, secure the names. And then when you're ready, when you've mapped out content for a certain amount of time, certain amount of month, and you've mapped out your content strategy and you're ready to showcase it with the world, then go live. Because it's about consistency. If you can't maintain it consistently, if you don't have the frameworks in place, you don't have the tools as to support you in place, you will fall off the track very quickly. And again, every Monday morning, you'll be like, oh my God, what am I posting for this week, for the week? So, and that's how we approached it, because we weren't ready when we first started. We were very much concentrating on building our craft within our network, and then when we were ready, this lockdown period provided that opportunity for us, and now we've launched all our social media channels. I hope that answers your question. What criteria should you use to choose a social media partner supplier to work with to help you audit your social media personal brand, and how to improve? This is very technical. Okay, let me see if I've understood this correctly. I'll just say it again. What criteria should you use to choose a social media partner supplier to work with to help you audit your social media presence? Well, I think, again, make sure that that the agency or the freelancer is a specialist in the sector that you're operating. So it's either built environment or construction, because there's a difference between approaching a creative that's a general creative that would work with any lifestyle or fashion brand, as opposed to somebody who's working specifically with the built environment. So they should know the industry, they should know the audience, they should know how people respond to that particular content, and then they will help you to elevate your brand. Because what happens with using a generalist is that they will have to come in and do a lot of the research and to understand the industry and understand the space that you operate in before they will be able to deliver you some good content and some good results, and help you audit your social media personal brand and how to improve. So I hope that answers your question. Like, definitely when you're interviewing people, or make sure that they understand the space that you're operating and the services that you're delivering. I've heard a number of times when clients say, like, oh, we hired a generic agency and they just didn't get what property was all about. They just didn't get what building was all about. So I think that's an important criteria to make sure that they know the industry and the space that you're operating with, and that you're operating it with. I hope I answer that. Okay, are you move to the next one? Is that the last question? Have you any suggestions for how to manage CRM across all SM platforms? I get lost with LinkedIn, Insta, and FB connections and inquiries. Oh, Yeah, again, this is a tricky one. So I know HubSpot has a really good CRM, so you might want to see. I think it's best to choose the CRM that has a plugin that integrates, that allows you to feed that information directly, so you're not manually inputting that information. And I totally get it. I totally understand it. It's hard to keep track of, especially with leads and inquiries. So definitely, again, when you're doing your homework, see if those CRMs have plugins to that feed in that information from those platforms, and so that you're not manually having to keep a track of any leads and inquiries that come through from social media. Okay.
That's it for now.
Okay. Long. All right. Okay. Okay.
No, thank you very much. That was really, really insightful. And yeah, I thought some of those questions were quite good as well, particularly the competitor ones.
Yeah, no, they were difficult questions, but that's great. That's great. I know you said that we were just touching the surface, particularly because what I found was recent, people approaching me, and a lot of them were using social media for the first time, and I was really surprised. Someone I recently connected with had never used WhatsApp before. So my goal with this was very much from approaching it from as if you were a beginner, but it sounds like there are a few people in the audience are very much pros and on top of their social media. So I hope they got something out of it as well. And I'll share my details are on the presentation. So if you have any more technical questions, feel free to drop me a line, connect with me on social media, and I'll happily connect with you back and engage with your content. And that's not a problem at all.
And do let us know in the comments or drop us an email if there's anything you'd like to go a little bit deeper on with social media, because we have got a whole series of online events coming up. And if there's something you'd like to take a further look at, whether it's particularly for LinkedIn or creating content or those things, we can organise those for you. I think I'm going to hand over to Nikki now. I think Nikki's going to come on and do our close. But thank you very much, Tanisha, for today.
Thank you, and thanks for all your difficult questions. I've got a lot to go back and think of myself. I love being challenged, so keep them coming. Keep the difficult questions coming.
Well, thank you so much, Tanisha, for a very good session. I definitely enjoyed it, especially in the beginning where you were talking about what branding is, and that is conscious effort. You have to be intentional, but most of all, stay connected. And I think for someone like me, it's just taking the plunge, isn't it? So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure is all mine. I hope to see some of you on social media. Please do connect with me.
Thank you. As Annie has just said, the link for the next event is now on screen. Or should be. So if you all want to join the next event, please click on the link. And thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.